On the topic of ensuring staff accountability, one of the questions I often get asked is how do we ensure that we're seeing follow up from the actions that are determined during our collaborative team meetings? How do we ensure that our staff and teachers are able to follow through and put into action those things that they commit to doing So there are a few strategies and ideas that we can ensure that we are putting in place as part of our processes that can help support this. First off, we need to ensure that we are clearly articulating the actions that are to be taken as a result of the conversation. As you see in this example, we need to be able to ensure that the action is clearly stated, what is going to happen, and that there's a date that the person commits to being able to put in place. I have been in meetings where the response is, so do you know what to do? Do you have some actions? And then it's left at that, which becomes quite vague and difficult to follow up on. We need to clearly articulate and put a date to that. So in facilitation, this may look like getting it down in the notes and then being able to say that when the person is committed that they're going to utilize a graphic organizer, asking some quick questions such as, what do you think that'll look like? How do you anticipate doing that? Do you need help getting that together? Is there anyone on the team that could that you need to connect to do that? Trying to remove any of the barriers right away and have the person already thinking about what is this going to look like in my follow through or in my classroom. Without clearly articulated actions, it is difficult to be able to for staff team members to ensure what is it that I was supposed to do again. But then, so that's actually one of the things that's important is if we are seeing things not getting followed through on from an administrative lens, to be able to go and help follow up to say, so how did that go when you put that in place? Have you been able to accomplish that? Is there anything else that you need with this? Please remember that this takes time. Not to be frustrated if after our first collaborative team meetings that we're not seeing as much impact happening as a result of the conversations. That's okay. Focus on building those structures and processes. In time, what we want to create is that culture of responsibility, not accountability, but responsibility to one another. That my team is depending on me to be able to do the things that I said I would do to help our overall student body. So a few other ideas that we've seen implemented with degrees of success as well is to be able to infuse the actions into the celebrations at the next meeting. So what that looks like is being able to say, okay, Curtis, do you have a student to celebrate based on an action you took from last time? And then having Curtis respond with, yeah, so one of the actions I said I would take away was introduce a graphic organizer to help the student organize their writing. I've done that, and it was really hard at the start to be able to ensure the student was using correctly, but I found if I assigned another student to help to just do a check after the person had put in their thoughts and topics, that really helped them to get their organization clear. So infusing that action into the next meeting, again, just continues to build up the understanding that what we're trying is really about growing us in the practices that we're doing to help benefit all of our students. I have seen one school who at the end of the team meeting, and this is actually a really good practice that I use often, is at the end to review the actions and just make sure everybody's clear and then ask a few of those clarifying questions. If I'm not sure if it was clearly understood, or if I have seen in the past difficulty with follow through for a particular team member. But at the end then, being able to have the staff identify what's one action I want to report back to a larger group, writing that down. In this particular school example, they had recipe cards in their room, and they'd write down one of the actions, and then at a future staff meeting, they'd hand those in. At a future staff meeting, they get handed back out, and the task was, as an icebreaker, to go and find another person and talk to them about what that looked like when you put that action in place. What did you learn? What did you try? Again, you're just building up the idea that what we're doing is not about filling out a checklist. It's about continuing to grow and improve. Obviously, oftentimes as an administrator, I would have our team notes and be able to go out and ask if you've been able to accomplish this. How about this? Providing specific support if I knew it was needed for some of our team members. And then also, we know that with the introduction of some of the software solutions, such as WeCollab, that the reminders of tasks, the need to go in and comment on if you've completed and what the result was, again, those tools can also help ensure that people are following up. And the beauty of those is then it leaves behind the record that says, here's the things that have been tried, that have been put in place, what the degree of success was for students to help inform any others that work with that student, either within that current year, following year, or even in another school. So always remember that trust the process. Trust the idea that you're building up capacity and you're building up an understanding of the process, of the structures, and that takes time. And it may not be perfect to begin with. It may never be perfect, but to understand that when we talk about accountability, really what we're trying to shift towards is a responsibility to one another, that I'm committed to the team, and that takes time to be able to build up that understanding and that commitment to one another. So as always, if you do have questions or wish to engage further with any of these ideas, please don't hesitate to reach out. All the best.